Hi, welcome to Sparrow's Special. Today we're gonna talk about dealing with working through dating and emotional health issues. I highly recommend if you are dealing with emotional traumas to go to therapy. It works. Yours truly goes to therapy on a regular basis. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with you being emotionally traumatized because you didn't do it to yourself. It wasn't your fault. You need to let that go. And then on top of that, heal the image of the individual who has hurt you. Um, you know, some people have been raped by white men most of their life, so they won't date white men, right? Some people have been had step parents that were of different backgrounds, and because of those different backgrounds and the abuse through that step parent, they won't date. So you might want to heal that, because what happens is, if you're already basing your dating life off of your past traumas and what you won't go through, that's a sign of not healing, because you're basically associating everyone under that category to your abuse. So definitely go heal. That's number one. Um, Tips to healing is exercise, exercise, exercise. I always recommend exercise because it is one of the most helpful and natural forms of antidepressant. I get depressed, I go and I'm a flow artist, and I go and I hula hoop. I love hula hooping, dance art. I incorporate all styles of dance and yoga and martial arts into my hooping style. And I will get lost in that piece for hours. Don't piss me off, because then I'm hula hooping for at least 6 to 8 hours. I do. I can go hard. So I will say that just find a hobby of activity that helps you get physical and exercise. A lot of that pent up depression is due to you not moving. Get moving. Get the body moving. Also, diet. Diet's a major, major, major thing. When you're not eating healthy, your body is being put under a lot of stress. You're traumatizing your body on a regular basis by not eating healthy, because now it has to fight hard to repair the damages that the unhealthy eating is doing. And then if you're not exercising and you're eating unhealthy, then you're dealing with lots of depression, and then also health issues. And then as you progress with more health issues, then your emotional health and mental health is more in danger. So that is number one. Now, gentlemen, I want to address my gentlemen first. Stop using us. If you want just sex, let it be known. Give a woman the opportunity to make an informed decision. When you deny a woman that opportunity to make an informed decision, and then you lie to get in our pants, psychologically for us, it's a form of rape. It is. Because I would have said no, especially if you're aware that if I know the truth, right? If I knew the truth and I set my standards and my boundaries, and you knew through those standards and boundaries that I would have said no to you if I knew the truth. So you decide to lie. It's a psychological form of rape. That is how you bring the crazy bitch out. Because no woman wants to give herself to a man and then realize that it was all a lie. It taints it. I remember here's story time. I had this guy, really liked him, and I saw he was a player, and I even called him on it. So what happened was, we ended up dating, and he ended up lying to me about some things. And the funny thing was, while we was dating, I was assessing whether I should go forward with him or not. And I thought of those things that came up that I saw that were like red flags. But the truth is, when you like someone, those red flags, you tend to ignore them. So I'll take responsibility for that. And but when I addressed it head on, he straight out lied. And now, and then worked to cover up and show me differently. So then I started doubting myself. I started doubting the red flags I saw. And I was like, okay, maybe now I'm carrying past trauma into this new relationship. So that's where the confusion is. A lot of times you're trying to heal from someone in the past doing you dirty. So you turn around and you're like, oh, let me assess this situation and find out. And then you men find out that, you play the game, right? You try to fit the bill so that we can say yes. Don't do that. Be you. Be who you are. Be your authentic self, and allow us to make an informed decision. Now, ladies, if you see that he is who he is, do not challenge yourself to be the one to change him. That also is where we place ourselves in a position to get hurt. Believe a man. When he says this is who he is, that's who he is. When he says this is what he's gonna do, then that's what he's gonna do. Now, if he's lying, hold him accountable, always. And close the legs. We've forgot how to close our legs. And yours truly ain't no angel. I fell for it too. But we're not using the power of the pussy anymore. I don't know if I could say that word. We're not using the power of the pum pum. We're not. Our vajajays have to stay closed. Not because I think you're a hoe. Fuck that. Who cares about what other people think, right? It's about the power of it and the influence and what you're doing. And sorry, I got a text and it was disruptive. But basically, the power of our vagina, our boom boom, our flower, our lotus flower, is that he's willing to lie. He's willing to do whatever he can to get into it. And that's how we can help. The word I want to use, condition, sounds so manipulative, but it's true. What we do is we're conditioning each other to accept each other's behaviors. And when you give him the boom boom, you're rewarding bad behavior. Giving him the boom boom, it's not going to make him change his mind. Giving him the boom boom is just going to make him think that what he did worked. And it's going to empower that. And then he's going to continue to lie. And he's going to continue to do what works, because that's what men do. That's what people do. They do what works. They go and they obtain what they want, and then they figure out how to obtain what they want, and then they try different ways to obtain what they want, and then they use what works. And then if you give up the pum pum when they are displaying bad behavior or player vibes, then they're saying this works, and you're enabling that behavior. So that's that, but not victim shaming. Men, hey, stop lying. I get on my dating app, I get a lot of questions like, are you normal? You're not crazy, right? But the truth is, gentlemen, you bring out the crazy. It's not about whether I'm normal or not. It's about my emotional health and my mental health and my body and my choice. And when you lie to me, you take the power of choice from me. And then now I am dealing with the emotional trauma that creates. And depending on the personality type, that emotional trauma will surface. Some women, I always tell men, be careful. The more quiet a woman goes, the more dangerous she is. This is truth. The louder a woman is, she's letting that shit out right then and there. You're dealing with it. You're addressing it head on. And that's where culture comes into play, because, certain cultures are more upfront and abrasive than others, and other cultures are more reserved and passive aggressive in their approach. So when you're dating a culture, and I've noticed being a mixed woman, I've noticed that men of different cultures know how women of color struggles are, and most likely the traumas that we go through and we're carrying, and they'll weaponize that. I have seen that with my own eyes. So these are things that I think should be addressed. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, I don't like saying I don't know, but I know from my experiences that a person just brings out your worst, or they bring out your best, depending on who they are and how they treat you. But the problem is, once you deal with someone who's mistreated you, now you have to heal from that trauma of that mistreatment. Gentlemen, that's what you're getting. So every time you mistreat a lady, stop ghosting. Stop the ghosting. I think ghosting has created so many levels of trauma. So I'm gonna look up this. I'm gonna read you psychological psychological effects from ghosting. So our research supports the idea that ghosting can have negative consequences for mental health. Short term, many of those ghosted felt overwhelming rejection and confusion. They report feelings of low self-esteem and self-worth. So ghosting is actually psychologically damaging on an individual's mental health. So our form of dating these days, thanks to social media, has created more mental health issues. So that's why I'm putting this video out, because I'm like, how do I'm like, I download, I'm like, oh my God, I need to download how to, because I'm drowning out there, and I'm thinking something's wrong with me, because my first experience with dating when I became a widow was being ghosted. And ever since then, I carried with me something was wrong with me. It was something wrong with me, not thinking once that there was something wrong with him and his ability to address and face a conflict or just, saying no. Just say no. It's nothing wrong with saying I'm not interested. No, I actually go out my way. And I mean, guys, I told one guy, I was like, listen, I like you as a friend, and I'd rather us be karaoke buddies, because we had fun at karaoke, but we didn't click on my end. He liked me, I didn't like him, but I didn't want to lead him on. And he made the choice to not follow up on a friendship, but at least he made an informed decision based off the fact that I made sure he knew where I stood from the beginning. And we pretty much know from the beginning, as soon as we make that connection to that, it's like, it's a no or a maybe. And like, for example, with that, like, for years now, this person ghosted me at a time where my husband just passed away. I was and I was being encouraged to go out and date and everything. And now I'm already dealing with grieving. And so that in itself had its own, mental health issues that brought to the table. So now here I am. I'm scared of the world. I'm scared of being going out there dating. I've already witnessed my sister-in-laws being shitted on by their men. So, and as single moms, and here I am, a single mom, and I got ghosted. So for years I carried with me that something was wrong with me, and I had to address that. And it was very difficult, because when you get ghosted, you feel like something's wrong with you. It makes you feel like something is wrong with you, when meanwhile it's just the person's not interested, or they made a choice. And keeping your options open, I understand that's what people do, but I'm old school. I don't like that whole keep my options open. Remember back in the days when you met one person and you focused on seeing if it was something, and then if it was nothing, you moved on together. You made it sure you let each other know. These days, keeping your options open, that too is traumatizing. So this is This is the from the Washington Post, how ghosting linked to mental health. And here on this is psychologytoday.com. Long-term effects for ghosties centered around feelings of mistrust that developed over time, in some cases spilling over to future relationships. Such experiences often precipitated internalized rejection, self-blame, and feelings of low self-esteem. And I struggled with that. And I always knew. And it was so funny because when I got married to my husband and I met him, he was literally a very loving and devoting person. And I came out confident knowing that he loved me. And I think that dating is like, oh, find your self-worth outside of dating. But the truth is, people develop self-worth through their experience and interactions with others. First is with your parents. Your parents helped, whether they helped destroy your feelings of self-worth or they built up your feelings of self-worth. And then when you venture out to the world, your interactions with your friends, being bullied, these are natural things that help improve or destroy your feelings of self-worth, and that contributes to mental health. And so yours truly wants to work on creating laws that, if someone is going out their way to destroy your mental health, they should be held accountable under penal law. I think that's important because mental health is a big issue these days, and I see how dating is creating so many mental health. Even recently I was on Tinder just texting this guy, and I told him straight up, if we don't meet after a certain time, then I don't want to know you. And then he kept me stringing along because he was like, no, I want to meet you. And then, I went back on there and he unmatched me. That's pussy. You're a pussy. You know who you are. You're a pussy. You should have just told me you wasn't interested. And that's what I think. I think a lot of men and women out there became women, we got tired. Men, we're just tired. We're just tired of you playing us. And women, the problem is we just don't want to give up dick. That's our problem. You don't want to shut the pussy off because I tell I get this information from talking to other women. And they're like, oh, give up dick? Never. I can never give up dick. Well, then he's going to keep playing you. Simple, because he's doing it for the sake of getting into your pum pum, and and then if you're not if you're rewarding his bad behavior, he's just gonna keep mistreating you. And these mental health, I'm a mom, I'm a single mom. The biggest issue with me when I date is if I bring you home, are you gonna touch my girls or do any of these things? There's red flags. We ignore them for the sake of dick, and then we destroy each other. Ladies, we're destroying each other for the sake of dick. Compete for jobs. Compete to be the best at school. Compete to go back to school. Compete for those things, but don't compete for dick. I make a rule. I don't want to destroy no sister for the sake of dick. And when I've made the mistake of doing that, each woman, I've ended up apologizing. I did it one time recently, and I apologized to the girl, and on top of that, my karma was he ended up being a narcissist. So when you compete, and these guys, and I've learned, if a man's making you compete for his attention, most likely he's narcissistic in nature. If a woman is making you compete for attention, it's because she's not narcissistic. It's because she knows that you're most likely have options. So there's different sex does play a part. Feminine nature is different than masculine nature, and I say that a lot. I have very strong masculine energy, even though I am very feminine in my approach with certain things is masculine though. So I want to start a trend. I think men should allow women to approach them, but social media destroyed that whole mystery. Does she like me? Does she not like me? I swiped right. I like you. It's so many things. So if I could swipe right, why can't I just say, hey, hi, can we go out for eat? And guys, a woman knowing what she wants does not mean she's crazy. A woman knowing what she wants means that she put in the work to know who she is. And that's what you're getting. Now, Gentlemen, if you guys want that whole mystery thing, you're saying I want to be mind fucked. It's my opinion. It's out there. So that's what I have for now about dating. Stop ghosting. No more ghosting. Say I am not interested. Just say it. Dealing with mental health. We are creating mental health damages. See, I'm just gonna. It's right here. I have the information right here. Our research supports the idea that ghosting can have negative consequences for mental health. Short-term, many of those ghosted felt overwhelmed, rejected, and confused. They reported feelings of low self-esteem. So this is what it does. And yeah, that's me. Every time I'm ghosted, I'm like, what the fuck? Why? I thought it was good. I thought we was good. You see right here, and see right here. Check your phone. Are there any unanswered texts? Should you reply? Should you ghost the person who sent them? Ghosting happens when someone cuts off all online communication with someone else without any explanation. Instead, like a ghost, they just vanish. The phenomenon is common on social media and dating sites, but with the isolation brought on by the pandemic, forcing more people together online, it happens now more than ever. And look, a professional psychologist who studies the roles interpersonal relationship and well-being. Given the negative psychological consequences of thwarted relationships, especially in the emerging adulthood years, age 18 to 29, I wanted to understand the leads, right? So she was addressing, now this is the results. Some students admitted they ghosted because they lacked the necessary communication skills to have an open and honest conversation, whether that conversation happened face-to-face or via text. I'm not good at communicating with people in person. I definitely cannot do it with typing. I do not have confidence to tell them that, or I'll guess it will be because of social anxiety. So people, your ghosting is due to the fact that you are too punked to communicate. Communication is important in relationships. The consequences. These are the consequences. Part of the problem is that the lack of clarity knowing why communication abruptly stopped. Sometimes an element of paranoia ensues as the ghostee tries to make sense of the situation. Long term, our study found many of these ghosted reported feelings of mistrust that developed over time, some bringing this mistrust to future relationships, which is something I struggled with for the past 6 years. With that may come internalizing rejection, self-blame, and potential to sabotage these subsequent relationships. And I did the self-blame and the sabotage. But just over half the participants in our study said being ghosted offer opportunities for reflection and resilience. But I'll be honest, I have to go out there and work on making myself warm up to being receptive to the new person after I get ghosted, because ghosting, it just makes you feel like, okay, I don't want to keep putting myself out there, because I don't mind being rejected. We all get rejected at times. I reject people. What I do mind is being left confused. I'm already dealing with a lot on my plate. I'm a single mom. I have a lot going on. I make my plans around what I want to do. And if I want to date you, I make my plans around that. And that's my cue to end this. So there you go. Ghosting is a lack of consideration towards a person's emotional health, mental health, and even their time. Sparrow International. Follow me at Sparrow INTL on Facebook and Instagram. My Snapchat is Sparrows with a Z Special, SPARROWZ SPECIAL. And every now and then I'll drop a tip. Peace.